Imagine learning that something you do every week in your own kitchen, something you do precisely because you are trying to be practical, save money, and not waste food, is silently and systematically creating the conditions for one of the deadliest cancers in the human body without you even knowing it. Does that sound extreme to you? Unfortunately, it isn't. There is a habit that hundreds of millions of people repeat every week without a second thought: reheating leftovers. And the truth about what happens inside 5 very specific foods the second time heat touches them is something most people will never know in their entire lives. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly which 5 foods are the most dangerous to reheat, what they chemically transform into inside your body when you press that button, and why this transformation is directly linked to one of the cancers with the lowest survival rates in all of modern medicine: pancreatic cancer. I am Dr. Ben, and today I am going to tell you something that I believe every person who cooks at home deserves to know, because I have stood in front of too many patients who received a devastating diagnosis and looked at me asking why no one warned them sooner. I am done being silent. Here is what you need to understand before we begin. Your pancreas never warns you. It doesn't hurt when it's damaged. It doesn't swell. It doesn't send you any signals while the damage silently accumulates over months and years of bad daily habits. By the time you feel something worrying enough to see a doctor, the cancer has already, in the overwhelming majority of cases, spread beyond the point where anything significant can be done. The 5-year survival rate is less than 12%. 12%. That number explains why absolutely everything I'm about to show you is so important, because at least 3 of these 5 foods are in your refrigerator right now, waiting to be reheated tonight. Let's start with the one that I guarantee will shock you the most, because it's something the entire health and wellness world has been encouraging you to consume more of for 20 years. Think of those crispy golden fries left over from the day before. The ones you covered, telling yourself you'd finish them tomorrow. That fried chicken you carefully wrapped in aluminum foil because it seemed a shame to throw it away. That leftover spring roll sitting in a corner of your fridge. What do you do the next day? You probably put it in the microwave, or worse, you heat up some fresh oil in a pan to make it crispy again. That is exactly when you activate a chemical process in that food against which your pancreas has practically no defense. And here is what almost no one tells you. Cooking oils, specifically the ones most people have on their shelves right now, like sunflower oil, corn oil, and soybean oil, are extremely unstable under heat. When you heat them a second time, they undergo deep oxidative decomposition, and this process generates a class of toxic compounds called aldehydes. The 2 most dangerous ones have names you probably can't pronounce: 4-hydroxynonenal and malondialdehyde. But you don't need to remember those names. You just need to understand what they do to your body. The free radicals released by reheated oil are like hundreds of sparks flying from an uncontrollable fire. Each one is small, flying randomly in all directions, landing on your healthy cells, destroying them from the inside, including the DNA that tells each cell how to grow, when to stop, and when to die as it's supposed to. When this code is sufficiently corrupted, the cell stops following instructions. It starts multiplying when it shouldn't. This is how cancer begins, and here is what is terrifying. Your pancreas is one of the organs most vulnerable to this specific type of aggression. When you eat foods loaded with these aldehyde compounds, your body triggers a full inflammatory response to try to contain the damage. But if you eat fried foods reheated several times a week, and I'm asking you to stop now and think honestly about this. How many times have you reheated something fried this week? Comment that number below, because here is what that habit does to your body every time. Your body never manages to turn off that inflammatory response. A permanently inflamed pancreas is a pancreas trying to perform delicate precision work inside a burning building. Every enzyme it tries to produce, every signal it tries to send, every cell it tries to protect, it all happens in a chemical war zone it was never designed for. Eventually, it can no longer keep up, and when it stops keeping up, you get no warning. You simply get a diagnosis. You might be feeling signs of this right now as you watch this video, and you're explaining them away as something else entirely. A dull heaviness in the upper abdomen after meals that you keep attributing to overeating. Unexplained fatigue that sets in specifically after eating, which you blame on a long day. A vague discomfort just under the ribs that comes and goes and you call bad digestion. It might not be bad digestion, so how do you protect yourself? Rule number 1, absolutely non-negotiable. Never reheat foods fried in oil. Not with fresh oil, not with the same oil, never. Use a dry oven at 180 degrees, 350 degrees, or an air fryer. Dry heat restores texture without a single drop of new chemical damage. Rule number 2, frying oil is for single use. You fry today, you discard the oil today. Because this comparison, a bottle of oil versus not having pancreatic cancer, is the real choice you are making every week without even knowing you're making it. Now, prepare yourself, because the second food on this list will surprise you far more than the first. I know this because it's something I myself recommended to patients for years. Something that appears on every superfood list ever written. Something every nutrition expert on the planet calls one of the healthiest foods you can eat. And when you reheat it, it transforms into something it absolutely should not be. Imagine a Sunday night. You cook a beautiful pan of spinach sautéed with garlic and olive oil, a deep green, perfectly wilted. You feel really good about yourself. You're being healthy. You're eating your greens. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. You put the leftovers in a container in the fridge. Monday at noon, you take them out and microwave them for 90 seconds. The smell is exactly the same. The look is exactly the same. The taste is exactly the same. And while you eat, that second round of heat has just triggered a chemical reaction inside that spinach that the World Health Organization has officially associated with cancer risks. Here is what happens inside that container. All leafy vegetables, spinach, kale, chard, arugula, contain naturally occurring compounds called nitrates. Fresh, they are completely harmless, zero problem. But when you cook these vegetables and let them sit, the bacteria naturally present in the food begin to convert these harmless nitrates into something called nitrites. And when you apply heat a second time, these nitrites react with the amino acids present in the food to form compounds called nitrosamines. Carve this word into your memory. Nitrosamines. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies nitrosamines as probable human carcinogens, and they are genotoxic. This means they penetrate directly into the nucleus of your cells and damage your DNA, not from the outside, but from within the genetic machinery itself. Think of your DNA as the blueprint your body uses to build and repair everything that makes you up. Nitrosamines are like someone breaking into the blueprint room every few days and quietly changing a measurement or erasing an instruction. Your repair systems catch most of them, but not all. Over months and years of repeated exposure, the accumulated corruptions in that blueprint start to produce cells that don't behave as they should. And here is what is terrifying specifically regarding your pancreas. Once nitrosamines enter your bloodstream after that reheated spinach, they travel to every organ your blood reaches, and the pancreas is repeatedly called upon in the detoxification effort week after week, bathing in genotoxic compounds while simultaneously being forced into chronic biochemical stress. How many times this week have you cooked leafy greens and reheated them the next day? Write the real number in the comments because most people do this in total innocence, and it is precisely that innocence that makes it dangerous. The solution? Eat your cooked greens cold. Cold cooked spinach in a grain bowl, mixed into a salad, or incorporated into a wrap. Every nutrient is still there. Zero nitrosamine formation because there is no second heating. If you need it hot, cook only what you are going to eat now. Not a batch for the week, just that meal. And if you must reheat, do it only once. Each additional reheating cycle multiplies the nitrosamine formation. This isn't a metaphor, it's chemistry. Now, the third food, and this one I think will be the most shocking thing we cover today, because it is the most innocent-looking food there is. No strong flavor, no strong smell, and the danger it contains cannot be detected by any of your senses. Think of the pot of rice you made a few days ago. You prepared a large quantity because it's more practical that way. You reheat portions of it every day. That's perfectly normal. Every household on the planet does this. And hidden in that rice, from the moment it finished cooking and began to cool, a biological process has been silently unfolding that most people have never been warned about. I must introduce you to a bacterium called Bacillus cereus. This organism is present in raw rice from any supermarket anywhere in the world. Cooking kills the active bacteria, but it does not kill the spores. A spore is a hardened biological survival structure that certain bacteria produce specifically to survive conditions that would normally kill them. Boiling water cannot destroy them. Normal cooking temperatures do not affect them. They remain dormant in your perfectly cooked rice, completely invisible, undetectable by any smell or taste, waiting for the temperature to fall into their ideal multiplication range, which is exactly the temperature of your kitchen counter as that rice cools after cooking. The moment the temperature drops, these spores wake up, multiply, and produce toxins. And here is the detail that matters most. One of these toxins is heat stable. When you microwave that rice the next day, you kill the living bacteria. But the toxin they already produced during their multiplication, your microwave doesn't touch it. It survives reheating entirely and enters your body in perfect working order. Imagine it this way. Imagine a factory producing toxic chemicals in your basement without your knowledge. You discover it and shut it down. You turn off all the machines, but the barrels already produced before the shutdown are still there in the warehouse. Your microwave shuts down the factory, but the barrels are already in your bowl and you're about to eat them. Now, here is the link to the pancreas. Chronic, low-level exposure to these toxins, even without dramatic food poisoning every time, creates chronic, low-intensity inflammation throughout your gut. And science has clearly mapped what researchers call the gut-pancreas axis. Your gut and your pancreas share blood circulation, lymphatic drainage, and inflammatory signaling pathways. A chronically inflamed gut sends its inflammatory signals directly to your pancreas every single time, without exception. How many days has the rice in your refrigerator been there right now? 1 day, 3 days, a week? Comment the real number, because that number tells you exactly the level of risk you have silently accepted. The solution? Cool cooked rice within 1 hour of cooking. Spread it out in a wide, shallow layer, not a heap. The larger the surface area, the faster the cooling and the less time the spores have to activate. Eat it within 24 hours. Reheat it thoroughly until it is steaming all the way through, then eat it all. Do not put it back in the refrigerator after reheating it once. These are not complicated rules. They are simply rules that most people have just never been taught. Now, the fourth food. Almost every family eats it several times a week. And the danger here comes from a specific characteristic of a very common household appliance that creates invisible zones inside food that seem perfectly safe from the outside. You made roasted chicken thighs last night, golden, perfectly cooked to the bone. You stored them in a container in the fridge. Today at noon, you put 2 pieces on a plate, microwave them for 2 minutes, touch the outside, it's hot, and you eat. It's a perfectly ordinary Tuesday in millions of homes, and the way this reheating was done, microwave, 2 minutes, touch and check the outside, is precisely where the danger lives. Here is something most people don't know. A microwave does not heat food like an oven. It excites water molecules inside the food to generate heat. But different parts of the same piece of chicken have different water contents, densities, and fat distributions. Some parts reach temperatures that kill bacteria. Other parts, just a few centimeters away, remain exactly at the temperature where bacteria not only survive, but actively multiply. These are called cold spots. You can't see them. You can't feel them from the outside. The outside can be burning hot, while the center is at the precise temperature that dangerous bacteria prefer. Two bacteria make this particularly terrifying with chicken: Salmonella and Campylobacter. Both are present in raw poultry at very high rates. Proper initial cooking eliminates them. But recontamination after cooking is entirely possible, on your hands, on the counter, on utensils. And those cold spots in your microwave reheated chicken are warm, moist, protein-rich environments. They aren't death zones for bacteria. They are incubators. A salmonella infection isn't a slight afternoon discomfort. It's a systemic biological event. High fever, violent cramps, persistent vomiting, and diarrhea. Your entire immune system mobilized for war. And while this war is unfolding in your gut, your pancreas isn't watching from the sidelines. It is dragged into the inflammatory response every time. And here is what concerns me most as a doctor. Dramatic, full-blown poisoning isn't the only way this damages you. Repeated doses too low to completely knock you down, but sufficient to keep your gut in a state of chronic, low-intensity inflammation. These are the exposures that silently accumulate over the years into conditions your pancreas simply cannot escape. Be honest now. When you reheat chicken, do you check that it's steaming everywhere in the thickest part? Or do you touch the outside and assume the inside matches? That gap between assumption and reality is exactly where salmonella lives. The solution: use the oven at 175 degree, 350 degree. Covered tightly with aluminum foil for 15 to 20 minutes. The trapped moist heat reaches every part uniformly. No cold spots anywhere. If you must use a microwave, cut the chicken into small, uniform pieces. Use medium power, not maximum. Stop halfway through and rearrange everything. Then let it sit covered for 2 full minutes after heating, or eat it cold. Cold shredded chicken in a salad eliminates every risk we just talked about. 0 reheating, 0 cold spots, 0 inflammatory cascade reaching your pancreas. We have now gone through 5. And before I close this video, I must tell you something that matters more than all the information we've just covered. If you've been doing these things for years, it is not too late. The human body's capacity for recovery genuinely surprises me after all my years in medicine. Chronic inflammation can decrease. Damaged cells are constantly replaced by new ones. The conditions we talked about are not a sentence. They are a starting point. And every better choice you make from this moment on moves you in the right direction. What I ask you to take away from this video today is not fear. Fear paralyzes. What I ask you to take away is specific practical knowledge that allows you to make just one different choice tonight. When you open that refrigerator, fried foods, reheat them dry in an oven or air fryer, never in oil. Leafy greens, eat them cold or cook only what you need now. Rice, cool it quickly, refrigerate within the hour, eat within 24 hours. Chicken, oven, not microwave, or eat it cold. Potatoes, cold as much as possible or on low, gentle heat. Small habits practiced regularly over months and years. Your pancreas works for you in absolute silence every day of your life, without ever asking for anything in return. Start giving it something back. I am Dr. Ben. If this brought you something real today, think of one person you love right now. Your mother, your partner, your closest friend. Someone who reheats rice every day and has never heard any of this. Send them this video now, not tomorrow, now. It might be the most important thing you do today. Take care of yourself. See you in the next video.